You know, one irony of this week is that all of this story, the Ukraine story, broke just after Secretary of Defense Hagel had announced plans to scale back the American military. We're going to pick up the interview there. I want to talk to you about the military budget that you outlined. You want to reduce the size of the Army to the smallest size since before World War II. How do you reduce the size of the American military without making it look like to the people around the world that we're somehow retreating, that we're withdrawing from all of this?
You start, Bob, with the reality of where we are in the world today. This budget, it is the first budget in 12 years that's not a budget based on war footing. We've been at war for 13 years, constantly. 2 wars. We're out of one war, Iraq, and we're coming out of the longest war we've ever been, Afghanistan. Not unlike after every war the United States has been in, you reset your posture, you reset your assets, you reset your whole enterprise based on the new realities and based on preparing that institution for the challenges of the future. But answer your question, then how do you adjust to the dangerous, complicated world that we're in? We've increased, for example, cyber assets, increased special operations. We're focusing on readiness, capability, our capacity, our ability to do the things that we need to do in the strategic interests of the strategic guidance that the President laid out in 2012.
You say we're coming out of 2 wars, and yes, that's true, but we're not necessarily coming away victors. We're just coming out of those wars. The enemy is still out there.
Of course, the threats are out there. Of course, the threats are shifting. Cyber is a good example. 5 years ago, there wasn't the same focus or reality of what a cyber attack could do to this country, paralyze this country, bring our economy down without any nation firing a shot, not knowing where it comes from. Special operations, the terrorist threat that still is around the world will be with us, I suspect, for some time. We've got to figure out how best we do that. The strategic priorities that we've laid out based on the President's strategic guidance plan: first, defend the homeland; second, continue to build capacity in securing our world through our alliances, through our treaty obligations, through our commitments all over the world, not retreating from the world. We're still going to be there. Also defeating aggression in the world and winning a war against any adversary anywhere in the world. That hasn't changed, but how you do it, Bob, how you do it is always going to be adjusted to the realities of the time and the challenge.
But you're not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that we have won these wars. You're just saying we have to recalibrate the way we continue to fight them.
At the peak of Iraq, we had 150,000 troops in Iraq. That war. The peak of Afghanistan, probably around 120,000. Those are big numbers, and we don't need those as you go forward the same way we did the last 13 years. So you've got to adjust your force posture. And by the way, it isn't me cutting the budget. It's the Congress's decision on sequestration. So it isn't Secretary of Defense or the President doing this, and I think we should clear that up a little bit here too. Where are we making decisions, and how do we make them? That's a responsibility I have. But also the physical constraints that are being placed on the Pentagon to make very tough choices here are very significant. So what we're talking about is gradually reducing our active duty strength by about 10%. I mean, I don't think that's an astoundingly large cut as we adjust, and we're still going to need a big army.
Let me ask you about something that your critics are saying, and they say that because you are proposing cuts in benefits, tax breaks, eliminating or slowing down pay raises for some of those on military duty, that you are in fact trying to balance the budget on the backs of these people who fought these wars.
Well, first of all, that's just not true. We're not making any recommendations on any retirement changes. We're going to wait till the Retirement Commission comes in. It was impaneled by the Congress on what we need to do, if we need to do anything on retirement. This isn't just an arbitrary unilateral approach to trying to slow the growth just to slow the growth. We've got to look at the long-term commitments to our people. Half of our budget today in the Pentagon goes to pay, compensation, retirement, and medical care. And that will increase significantly. We're not cutting, we're proposing slowing growth in certain areas. And the tax cuts, we're not cutting anybody's taxes, but we are asking for specific considerations in areas where we are slowly, eventually reducing the growth of pay increases. There'll be still pay increases. And then other areas. We think these are responsible. We don't think it breaks faith with our people. But we have to reset, reposition. I've got to be able to keep a modern military, those coming in behind me, the technological edge that has made our military the envy of the world, along with everything else. Best led, best trained, best equipped, best educated. We want to sustain that for our own interest and for our people.